How frequently have you been wheezing, coughing, and having shortness of breath? It's a question that we have all gotten very familiar with COVID-19, but it's a question that patients with chronic respiratory conditions are asked every single day. And yet patients struggle to understand truly when they're wheezing, coughing, and having shortness of breath, and if it's getting better or worse. And over 1 billion people today are suffering from chronic and infectious respiratory diseases, with over $1 trillion spent in care each year. And I myself am one of those patients. I've been an asthma patient my entire life, and I know how challenging it is to answer those questions accurately and get that information back to my caregiver before it's too late, before you end up in the hospital. The key challenges are consistent across the board. Number one, we lack the ability to predict when respiratory patients are going to exacerbate and end up in the hospital. Care is centralized in the four walls of an ER or hospital system. And then patients are treated and they end up going home. And they get asked the same simple questions, and they struggle every day. So we wanted to create a technology that truly changes this dynamic and gives patients the ability to understand when they're experiencing wheezing, coughing, and shortness of breath, and communicate that effectively. So we can, number one, predict what is going to happen and treat effectively before a hospitalization occurs. Get information that is clinically accurate and validated for use within the four walls of a hospital and beyond. And something that is entirely scalable, something that can be introduced to a patient in their home, where they live in the real world. And that's why we created the RESI technology. It's a small wearable biosensor that helps us capture those key symptoms of wheeze, cough, and shortness of breath. It is an FDA-cleared lung sound platform that measures changes in lung sounds, wheeze, cough, shortness of breath, in real time, and gets information back to a clinical team within the cloud. We have algorithms that have allowed us to identify within 72 hours of an ER visit key changes in wheeze and cough. In one such study, an asthma patient was discharged home and wore our device every day and was asked the same simple questions: how are you feeling? And it wasn't until the same day he went to the hospital that he ended up saying he had severe shortness of breath. Yet for 3 straight days, we saw increasing wheeze and cough with our biosensor. We have the capacity to change care, not only to reduce the expensive hospitalizations for patients, but also to provide a better quality of life. It's a simple system. It integrates into telehealth and remote patient monitoring and even hospital to home today, addressing a $43 billion market opportunity here in the United States and a nearly $130 billion market opportunity worldwide. Our first opportunity has been working with pharmaceutical companies doing important research to help them identify key changes in respiratory status, to help them develop the next set of vaccines and drugs to ultimately help prevent these diseases in the first place. Work with us today to monitor lung health anytime and anywhere. Thank you.